Another week, another sign of hope for a vaccine. Following the Moderna announcement last week, this week's news starts with Novavax and another jump in the markets, asking us, where does this leave us in the race for a vaccine? And what does this mean from an investing perspective? Let's get into it. Welcome to Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise, where we talk about little things that can lead to big improvements in our financial and physical health. If these are the things you're interested in, you'll definitely want to subscribe and become a part of our community, because, after all, it's free, and it'll make sure you don't miss any upcoming videos. And if you're interested in developments to the pandemic, we've got you covered. So definitely hit that notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos as soon as they are released. Last week we covered Moderna and their candidate for a vaccine. We looked at the company's history, insider trading, and we made a case for and against investing into the company. If you haven't seen those videos, definitely take a look at those in the links above or in the description below for my thoughts and my own personal decision on whether to invest in the company. Up front, please know that I'm not a financial advisor and I'm not providing any financial advice for you to act on. Just sharing my own thoughts on the developments on the biggest story of the year and how it could impact investing. You always should do your own homework and consult with your own financial advisor when making investment decisions. So this morning, much like the first trading day of last week, we woke up to see the market futures significantly higher based on optimism of another vaccine candidate. This week it's from Novavax, a biotech company based in Maryland, and they are reporting that they have started the phase 1 clinical trial of their vaccine and have enrolled their first human participants. So more exciting news on the vaccine front. But what is the Novavax track record, and what does this mean in regards to Moderna and an investment strategy? Well, Novavax was founded in 1987, so they've been around for a while. However, their history shows a lack of any major breakthroughs. In 2016, they made it to the phase 3 clinical trial stage for the first time with a RSV vaccine named ResVax that looks to prevent a virus that causes respiratory tract infections. But that trial ultimately failed, as well as did subsequent trials. The failures dropped the stock that once was trading in the $300 range to have a more recent 52-week low of $3.54. So much like Moderna, the history of success from Novavax is lacking and the financial fundamentals appear weak. But also like Moderna, we know that with the potential of bringing a vaccine to market to address the pandemic, this would be a huge win for the company that could really help them take off, and we've seen how that momentum can really drive the stock price. So what are the other reasons we might be optimistic in the company? Well, really the biggest reason for optimism in Novavax could actually be an influenza vaccine candidate called NanoFlu. This product was given fast track status by the FDA in January of this year, and the vaccine is currently undergoing a phase 3 clinical trial that will wrap up sometime in the middle of the year. Another positive is that their pandemic vaccine candidate is being funded with $384 million by the Coalition for the Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, known as CEPI, which was co-founded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and will significantly help support the company's efforts. They also have an agreement with Emergent Biosolutions to help produce the vaccine on a large scale if the vaccine is deemed to be effective and approved by the FDA. Unlike with Moderna, at this time Novavax does not have any data for us to examine as their phase 1 clinical trial is just beginning. So in regards to a race for a vaccine, Novavax is actually behind where Moderna is at this time, and being first to market is always the ideal scenario. However, as we discussed with Moderna, there are some factors that could impact how big the financial success of developing a pandemic vaccine could be when we are looking at it from a financial perspective. First is the pressure from the government to keep the cost down so that it could be administered affordably to people around the world, which obviously could put a limit on profits. The other thing we know is that there are other, bigger entities out there working on their own vaccines, and if one of those also works, there could be a pricing war that could significantly limit the profit potential. An example to prove this point is the much larger and successful Merck just putting out some new announcements today in their own efforts in developing a vaccine. So where does this leave us? I still feel the race for a pandemic vaccine is speculative at this point. To me, this is the classic example of investing versus trading. An investor should be very cautious based on the news, the environment, and the track record of companies like Novavax and Moderna and the current run-up in the stock prices from the recent lows. Obviously, a gamble on either company could pay off pretty big, but you have to weigh the potential benefits with risks. Looking at both companies and deciding which may be a safer bet is a challenge. On Moderna's side, they are ahead in the clinical trial phase, which would put them in the enviable position of leading in the race to a vaccine. For Novavax, the affiliations they have with CEPI and Emergent, to me, put them in a stronger position to proceed with more resources. The other plus for Novavax, and I think it's a big one, is the possibility of a positive outcome on NanoFlu likely to come this summer. Now, as I mentioned, they've had failures at this stage in the past, but the Fast Track status designation by the FDA makes me cautiously optimistic that they may have a successful outcome this time. I feel either company is a gamble right now. Again, a gamble that could pay off big, but with Moderna, to me it feels like all of their eggs are in one basket, whereas with Novavax, they have two baskets, or two near-term opportunities for success and only need one to pay off big. And the NanoFlu vaccine could ultimately be the more profitable success. I tend to feel that if one of the companies were to be successful in developing an approved vaccine, it would be Moderna that might have the higher bounce in their stock price. But I also feel like of these two companies that have a lack of successful products brought to market, Novavax might be a safer bet due to diversification of having the influenza vaccine out there as well. Okay, so there you have it. Which stock do you feel is the better choice at this time? Please let me know in the comments. Also, please subscribe, hit that like button, and share with your friends. As always, I hope that we can all learn from each other on how to take little, easy steps in making big improvements in our lives. Thank you again for watching, and until next time, have a great day.